remember, when it comes to trade policy in the United States as it relates to the steel industry, there are two real programs that matter. There's Section 232, which is the tariffs on imports of steel products, which are global. And remember, in some countries there's quotas, right? So we have a quota system with Brazil, which was actually in a bit of an issue over the past 3 months, which we'll talk about. And there's also the Section 301 tariffs. These are the 25% or 7.5% tariffs that are coming out of imports from China. And so both of those issues are different in that 301 is run out of an agency called USTR. USTR is run by a gentleman by the name of Bob Lighthizer right now, and that shift is going to occur, and that power is going to be given to a woman by the name of Catherine Tai. Catherine Tai will be have her nomination and hearings throughout the month of February, and likely by March 1st, she will be the new USTR head. Now, the USTR head is a cabinet level role. It never used to be, but over the past however many years now, it's a cabinet level role. Now, Catherine Tai is going to be responsible for reformatting the whole Section 301 policy.
I have tried to give a comparison for the first 8 months of financial year 2021. So if you look at for the impacted by the first quarter, that is April, May and June, there was a lot of degrowth in the finished steel production as well as consumption, almost in the range of 20%. However, in the month of May and specifically in the June, there was a lot of focus on the export side. And therefore, you witness that we have grown almost by 35% in the exports in the first 8 months. However, when we are comparing November 20 to November 19, you will find that there is a huge demand surge that has happened. We have almost have 10% increase year-on-year growth in terms of the demand. And since there is sufficient demand domestically, you will find that the exports have come down by almost 30% again YOY for November 19 and November 20. Since today the domestic demand is sufficient enough for the producers to look into and adjust their supplies accordingly, there is more focus in terms of inward supplies than focusing on the exports.
The markets also could be facing some interesting difficulties while getting close to the springtime, since the demand traditionally improves around that time of the year in general. And as you would appreciate, there are also some rumors in the market that some hydro producers, blast furnaces will be reopening in a kind of mid-time period. That we're not still sure about that, but this will not be helping to the current supply shortages in a kind of short period of time. And just want to tell you something about Turkey's Turkey side. As you know, Turkey is the biggest scrap importers in the world, and some of our hot roll producers are just using these scraps to make their production. And you should be hearing that the European Union made one decision and now applying a temporary anti-dumping tax to Turkish hot roll producers between the range of 4.8 to 7.6%. Europe is such a big market for Turkish hot roll producers. Around let's say 2.5 million metric tons of materials have been sold to EU countries, which makes the monetary equivalence for more or less like $3 billion US, talking about last year. So that will affect the potential sales also.
So generally what we see last 7 to 10 days in steel industries in UAE and especially in Middle East area, Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain, the prices has been gone up, especially for the rebar. The prices has been gone up by around $30 to $40 here in UAE, which is now coming $670. In November it was $475. Now it's reaching to $670. The change is reflecting internationally, but in Dubai and in UAE the change is not reflecting that fast because of the supply and demand conflict. Also for the wire rod, we see an increasing the prices and the demand is increasing. People are trying to source wire rod. There is few local players available in the market due to the billet shortage and all. Now last week it was offering in the beginning of the year, wire rod was offering in the market for $620 to $640. Now it becoming offer is coming at the level of $700. This is the changes happening generally for the steel industries as the pricing.
India used to be a country which was the imports and exports were primarily balanced during last 4-5 years. But this year, because of the COVID situation and lack of demand in the domestic industry, India became net exporter of steel during first 6 months. That is between April to September. And the exports growth has been tremendous, more than 50 to 60% during this period. And India was exporting a lot of semis, especially to China, because of China's issues with Australia on iron ore imports. They were importing a lot of semis, and India was the main supplier of semis to China during that period. Now, when the demand for construction steel, especially rebar and wire rod, has come back very strongly.
As the year went on, commodity prices started to pick up worldwide. This increased the prices of stainless steel. As the prices rose, demand continued to follow, which I will talk about. We can look at the base price of stainless steel and alloy surcharges in the United States. In terms of the base pricing, it has been flat throughout 2020 with a general increase for 304 of 100 January 2021. The alloy surcharge in 2020 had a low of $11.94 month of May, $1,500 per ton in the month of December 2020. Today, the surcharge for 304 is around $1,776 per metric ton, highest in the year. United States stainless steel market is doing well. We have support from the commodity prices rising, demand being strong, supplies being short.
I think President-elect Biden is going to look more at a multilateral government to government to government type approach when he thinks about formulating policy. President Trump didn't want to do that. He wanted to directly combat with a specific country for specific policy so that he could benefit what he wanted. President-elect Biden won't do that. He's going to take a much more broad approach. He's going to think about the whole concept of accountability. How do we keep countries accountable when it comes to environmental policy, climate change, humanitarian rights, all of the things that he believes are more fundamental to the global system.
When we are talking about, I highlighted in my presentation that there is strong demand for the steel coming up in 2021 from the India side. One of the basic factors is the vaccination, which is one of the biggest vaccination drive globally, which is happening in India, and that has given a lot of positive hope to not only to the Indian steel industry but also to the Indian consumers, to an Indian normal citizen, to an Indian corporate.
Everything is pointing to a positive economic scenario, and it will continue, and the positive economic scenario will definitely lead to much higher steel consumption. And there has been supply disruptions for the raw material shortages affecting the steel industry. That is why they are unable to produce at their full capacity, but that will slowly ease in next 1 to 2 months.
What I suggest, okay, if anyone wanted to stock, the stock should be taken with a level of 10 to 20% maximum for their capacity, and give a call. Don't go for gambling. This is we do practice this way. We never go for gamblings. We take 10 to 20% risk, but not more than that. This is how we do it in Madar.
Lately, most of our competitors are not coming from Turkish side, but also from some mills from Taiwan or Vietnam. Okay, lately. So we do know that we are just talking about some big price gaps, but on the other hand, we are still able to provide some good materials to most of our loyal customers, since these guys are just paying attention not only for prices but also for shipment time.